This week, we check back in on the on-again, off-again relationship between the largest CPG advertisers and the largest advertising platforms. This time we ask, though, is it really a channel thing, or are marketing mediums more to blame? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome to Marketing is Broken, where we hang out with both brand and performance marketers and end up fitting in with neither. This week's top story comes straight from a recent gathering of the world's biggest marketing leaders. Unilever CMO Keith Weed gave a compelling address for why marketers need to be working more with the big advertising platforms like Google and Facebook to create a better experience for consumers. He said, "This is the right thing to do, to start putting consumer experience back at the core of these platforms." It was a little surprising to hear Weed being so charitable with Google and Facebook. For the last 2 years, CMOs like him and Procter & Gamble head of marketing, Mark Pritchard, have been pointing to issues like brand safety, transparency, and measurability as some of the reasons why digital advertising is failing the industry as a whole. It's gotten to the point where Pritchard is even saying the future won't even contain ads. And as we covered in our episode about the BuzzFeed layoffs, industry analysts like Ben Thompson recommend avoiding the aggregators of Google and Facebook as much as possible. For as much panic as there is about Google and Facebook as marketing channels, have we marketers stopped to consider that the channels might not be the problem here at all, and maybe there's something deeper going on that we should be looking at? That happens to bring us to this week's topic. First, let's start off with an important distinction. When advertisers talk about Facebook and Google, they're usually talking specifically about Facebook ads and Google ads. Why do I bring this up? Because the issues marketing leaders have been complaining about have been less about channels and almost entirely about the paid mediums of Facebook and Google. There are plenty of other mediums to put your marketing dollars into, including building social communities, investing in search engine optimization, or building out robust email marketing strategies. And yet, when asked how they're going to solve advertising's problems, even the smartest minds out there can't seem to think outside of the Nielsen box when it comes to where else they could be spending their money. If you're like Weed and Pritchard and are mad at Google and Facebook for being bad ad partners, let me make an argument for taking some of that money out of advertising and putting it more into building some of your brand through organic efforts. So let's say you had $50,000 to invest in any marketing channel. Where would you put it in order to put that money to good use? If you're like most marketers, you'd put it into paid media of some sort because it's usually the channel with the most predictability. Provided you have good creative and targeted your audience well enough, you can predict that the money you spent on ads will produce some sort of positive ROI for the company in the form of leads, sales, or whatever it is that constitutes success for you. On the other hand, you could put that $50K into content that helps your brand increase recognition and salience in the minds of consumers. Take, for example, Moz's Beginner's Guide to SEO. This 10-chapter free guide on how to learn search engine optimization has ranked #1 for SEO 101 and related terms for more than a decade and has likely been a touch point on the purchase path for at least half of their consumers. And yet, we rarely choose to spend the $50K on moonshot content like this because it never pays off on a short enough time horizon. Most organic content takes time to rise through the search engine ranks, so their return on investment is never as good as paid media in the first time period. In fact, it's not uncommon for companies to scale back or quit spending on content marketing altogether when they don't see that immediate payoff. But provided that you're creating content that consumers love and is on brand, these assets start to appreciate over time to the point where something magical happens. Usually in the second or third time period, the dividends from the first time period start to finally kick in. At that point, ROI begins to climb more and more each quarter because it's got the annuities from prior periods. And when this happens, you're not just publishing content anymore, you're actually building a brand. Because every time someone searches for something in your category, you're there. And you didn't even have to pay for it at that point. Meanwhile, paid media ROI remains relatively constant, plus or minus whatever shenanigans the platforms throw at you for the quarter. It's no wonder that marketers who can't think beyond advertising are mad at Google and Facebook. So if you're at your wit's end about advertising, but can't seem to convince your company to invest more in earned, shared, and owned media, next time, put together a plan that shows ROI on a longer timeline. What do you think? What have been your biggest challenges with the advertising platforms? And what are you doing about it? How does paid media perform as a channel versus your organic efforts? Any tips you have for our viewers may be rewarded with a fancy new shirt. And if you'd like to be a guest on Marketing is Broken, leave a comment below and we'll be in touch. We'll see you next time. Hey, it's Josh from Brandish Insights. Thank you for watching Marketing is Broken. If you like this week's episode, please click below to subscribe or check out other episodes. And if your company could use more insights around your branding efforts, check out brandishinsights.com.